is Lennon Clement. I'm 9 years old. I've learned a lot of things growing up, but nothing like the things I've learned from spending time with my great-grandma. I call her Gram for short. Gram is 90 years old, and she's had an amazing life. We've talked about all sorts of things, like where do all the Nanas in our family come from? It's confusing.
I had a Nana, the same name as your Nana. She was my grandma, and she raised me. And your Nana called my mommy Nana. So we both have Nanas.
Now I get it. So Gram's Gram was Nana, and my Nana's Gram was Nana. Phew! Maybe I'll be a Nana one day too. Moving on. Did you have any brothers and sisters?
No, I didn't. It was just me. Because my daddy was killed when I was 4 years old, and that's how come I came to live in Malone, because he was electrocuted. So I had no brothers and sisters.
What did your dad do for work?
My dad was an electrician, and he was working on an electric pole, and the person went into the building and thought the power was off, and he turned the power on, and my daddy was electrocuted. So it was very sad, because then my mom had to move to Malone, and that's how come I'm in Malone now.
Oh. Even though Gram's dad was only 24 when he died, I bet he'd be happy to know that she went on to raise a great big family of her own. More on that later. So what was it like growing up around here? Was it busy or?
It wasn't as busy because we didn't have the transportation like you do. We had not too many cars back then. Not horse and buggy, that was before, a little bit before my time. We did have old cars that probably went 20 miles an hour. That was the high speed. You wouldn't like that.
That was speeding back then.
That was speeding.
Did you play outside a lot?
No, I was inside a lot because there wasn't too much to play with except going on a sled in the wintertime, which was the extent of where we were. We didn't have like Mount Pisgah or places that you could go skiing. And would you do? You go skiing in the wintertime?
Yeah.
Where do you go?
Usually go to Titus.
You like it? Bummer.
Oh, brother. Gram's phone is always ringing. She's quite popular around here. Shifting gears. So what was school like?
It had 6 grades in it. And then when you you passed your 6th grade, then I had to take a bus to come to Malone, which was about 9 miles to get from where I lived to Malone on a school bus every day.
So is the school bus different than how our school buses are today?
No, it was a longer ride, but I went to school until, well, I graduated when I was 18. I met your grandfather when I was 15. We got married, but he lived in Malone and I lived in North Bangor. And he used to hitchhike to come to see me. A long ways. If he didn't get a ride, he had a long walk.
What did he do?
He worked until when the World War II started. He was called in to fight in the war, and he was gone for 2 years. He came back, and then he worked for the telephone company. It
must have been hard to have her husband away at war. I know she was proud of him, though. I am, too. Thank you for serving our country, Great-Grandpa. Around this time, Gram began having kids. Remember that great big family I mentioned earlier?
I was busy. I had the 1 boy and 5 sisters. Aunt Diane was the oldest, and then next was Uncle Ronnie, then Aunt Carol, Aunt BJ, Aunt Karen, Aunt Nancy. And who's Aunt Nancy?
My grandma.
Yeah.
Was my Nana a good kid or a troublemaker?
She was a good kid. I have to say that. She was a good kid. She was the last one and a little tiny 4 pounds and something when she was born. But as she was growing up, she was a good kid. in time of the hippies.
Time of the hippies. It was also a time where another change happened in Graham's life. So you were married twice. What was your second husband like?
He was from Saranac Lake. Very, very different from the first grandpa, which I enjoyed because your first grandpa was, they called white collar because he was a supervisor. And then I married a man that liked to be in the woods, which as a young girl, I never did, do. I didn't fish because we were living in a small town, not near any water. But then in Saranac Lake, I learned that there was a whole different life because the man liked to be in the woods and camp, and he was a caretaker of a big, huge camp. You had a lot of grandpas, that you didn't know.
No.
No. Well, I guess we'll have to tell you about them.
It sure is hard to keep track of everyone in this family. I think Graham has fun with it, though. Speaking of fun, did you like to listen to music when you were younger at all?
Only the type of music that would make me do my housework faster. If it was fast music, I cleaned my house. No, I was never very musical. But I did like to listen to records and had my favorite songs that would keep me working.
Did you have TV when you were a kid at all?
Yes, we had one of the first TVs that were out, and it would be black and white and not very, kind of snowy. But we would sit, and the girls would sit right in front of it, and I always used to say, don't get too close, don't get too close. And it wasn't too good when it first started.
So how many channels did you get?
I think we had one channel.
Did it play everything or just like one particular thing?
No, it was just black and white and just one channel. And I don't even remember what the one channel was, but it wasn't very good, but we enjoyed it. Mostly before that, we would sit in front of the radio and listen to the radio, but you didn't see any picture, but you would listen to programs on the radio.
That's fun too, because you get to picture what it looks like.
No picture. So you have a much better opportunity to watch. How many channels do you watch?
I don't know. Like we get like 987 something channels.
Yes. You wouldn't want to just sit and watch one? No, it wasn't funny.
It was probably a lot easier then. I don't even know what's on most of these channels today. What are like your first memories of Saranac Lake? What did it look like and stuff?
Well, it was quite different than it is now. A lot of different businesses. I enjoyed it very much.
When you're 90, you've probably known a lot of people over the years. Can you tell me about them?
I can tell you that most of my family and most of my friends, when you get to be 90, there's not too many friends left because they all died maybe when they were younger. But I keep up with just the family. But the friends and relatives, there can be less and less and less the older you get.
Is that hard for you?
Yes, it is. So I'm keeping busy, not going too many places, and taking care of my animals, which are my kids now, and waiting for grandchildren to come and visit me.
So I should probably always remember my family and friends.
Yes.
Try to remember them.
Yes, and you've got a daddy that will help you, won't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you like to garden. Is that one of your big hobbies?
Yes, it is, and it was, but each year it gets a little harder to bend over. So I have to do easy gardening in flower boxes where it's easier to get. And I still like to go outdoors, and I live right by the river.
Do you have a favorite flower?
Yes, I do. I have the lilacs in the morning, in the spring, when they're the first They're not a flower, that's, you know, they're the lilac trees, but they're beautiful and the smell, and I love that.
I think Graham knew this was the perfect time to ask me about one of the things I love. Animals.
What kind of wildlife do you like?
I really like white-tailed deer. They're probably one of my favorite animals.
Do they go in your backyard where you are?
Yeah, we have an apple tree and they like to come.
Oh.
The apples aren't good anymore because it's too old, but they do.
But the deer like them.
The deer like them.
Any other wildlife that you have around your house?
Sometimes I see some hummingbirds around. Not very often, but there is a few around.
You have a hummingbird feeder?
Yeah.
They're pretty, aren't they?
Yeah. It's fun to try to look out the window and try to spot one because usually they're too fast to see. Graham loves animals too, especially her pets, including one very special dog. So have you had a lot of pets over the years?
Yes, I have. I've had one kitty cat that was 20 when she died, when I came here. And then I have two now. One is Katie and Tiffany. And then Mr. Bojangles, which is a pug, which you like to play with when you come here, don't you?
Yeah.
He snores.
Noisy. No snout.
No nose.
No nose at all. Sometimes Graham and I get a little silly, like when I catch her off guard. So, what's your favorite cheese? Do you like Velveeta?
Yes, I like Velveeta. What do you like?
I like cheddar. Cheddar Jack, I really like that.
Okay.
See how much fun you can have talking with your grandparents? I think kids should spend as much time as they can with them. It's a special thing living to be 90.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yes, it is, and I like it. I'm glad I'm 90. And I want to be around a few more years so I can watch you grow up.
And I look forward to watching her grow up too. One thing I've learned from talking to Graham is that we never stop growing. Graham, I'm so glad you did this. I'm gonna keep this video forever and show my kids.
I'm glad to be talking to you too. Did you learn anything from staring in my eyes?
I learned that your eyes are blue.
Are they?
What color are your Graham's eyes? Do you know? Maybe that's something you can talk about. I bet you'll learn that and a whole lot more. But it's not just you who learns. I asked my grandma if she's learned anything from me.
I think it's an enlightening thing for me because there's such a difference in when I was little and when you're little. For one thing, your dad has taken you mountain climbing, you've been all over, you've been fishing, you've done more than I have as a little girl.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've had a good time, haven't we?
Yeah. Who did you like when you were a teenager?
Well, the ones that were my favorites were Clark Gable, which you never heard about probably, and Myrna Loy, which you never heard about. But they were my favorites, and I would cut out pictures in the catalogs and the magazines of them. That's what we did for fun, was cut out their pictures.
What is your favorite movie of all time?
Gone with the Wind is one that I will not ever forget, and as often as we get a chance that I will watch it over. I think that's about the favorite one.
Clothes were a lot different back then.
Yes, they were. Styles were different.
70s big afros.
And, oh, no. Me have a big afro?
That's hard to say. Do you think one day we'll be able to go to Mars?
Yes, the way the world is going, I do think so. Why, are you going to go if you get a chance?
Oh, if I got a chance, I probably would go.
Nut. Okay, well, have you ever seen a rooster like this, Lennon?
No.
Okay, well, this is to remind me of my mother and stepfather because he raised chickens. Now, you just listen to this. So this is what reminds me of her. And that's what wakes you up in the morning and wakes the farmers up so they can get up and do their work. And the roosters do this.